Stop being a nice white woman.
Just because somebody is trans doesn't mean that they can't be transphobic. Really good example of this is Buck Angel.
I did not want to react to this person, but here we are. This woman on testosterone is a trans activist and wants to be called Birdie. Not that long ago, she was in some controversy. People accused her of being misogynistic, sexist, which is weird because she's a woman herself, but no matter what, she clearly has a problem with white women. Let's react.
For all the white cis women who are upset about my last video and saying that it's just misogyny and how dare I make something like this during Women's History Month. First off, y'all are just proving my point. Y'all need to recognize that your experience of being a woman is not the only way to experience womanhood.
What is womanhood, and can men claim to experience womanhood?
If you want to be a real feminist, then you fight for everyone. You fight for Palestinian women's rights. You fight for trans women's rights. You fight for Black women's rights and Indigenous women's rights. You fight for all women's rights. You fight for everybody's rights.
What about Israeli women? Oh wait, you don't care about those. You'll have that in common with Hamas. So when you're talking about how feminists should advocate for all women, you didn't care to mention Israeli women, but you cared to mention men?
Because when nice white women don't check themselves and their own privilege and the harm that they're doing, everybody else is having to compensate for it. Everybody else is having to suffer for it. Comfort is not a priority. Safety is. If you want to prioritize all women's safety, then stop being a nice white woman.
Aren't you a white woman? Believe it or not, but this type of activist will claim that I hate myself for being trans, that I hate myself, just in general, for having certain opinions that are not accepted within their community. Who's really self-hating here? Because you're a cis white woman. That's right, I don't believe you're trans. I said it. I think one of the reasons why you transitioned is because you don't want to be seen as a cis white woman. Does it make sense? No. But in your community, the worst thing you can be is a cis white person. You're worse than the devil, basically.
Let's just set the record. Gay. There is no right or wrong way to be trans. The only requirement to be trans is that you don't 100% identify with the gender that you were assigned at birth.
Hey Siri, what is the definition of the Latin word trans? A cross on the far side beyond. Good to know. This topic is not about who's the right kind of trans, who's the wrong kind of trans. It's about what is the definition of transsexualism. It's about who is actually trans and who's not. Not at all. You are born a woman, you have long hair, earrings, makeup on, but you transitioned. Why? ليش حبيبتي? Why did you transition? Due to what level of gender dysphoria? Because apparently you have no issue looking like a woman. I know you have a beard and all, but still.
That's it. That's it. No requirements of how you dress, how you look, if you transition, and every non-binary identity is a valid trans identity.
No, I don't know if you're ready to hear this, but non-binary is not a real thing at all. I have absolutely nothing in common with a non-binary person. No transsexual on this planet has anything in common with non-binary people, or people who claim to be non-binary. If you don't want to transition, you're not trans. If your brain is not telling you that you're uncomfortable with your birth sex, then you're not trans. Then you're just like everyone else. And believe me, you wouldn't doubt if you're dealing with this gender discomfort I'm talking about, because it's so severe. The discomfort is so severe that you're changing your entire life just to get rid of it. Just a tiny bit. But Marcus, she transitioned, so why don't you believe she's trans? Well, look at her. Just look at her. Sometimes I don't know exactly what to say because just their appearance, just the things they say are enough for me, like, to know. I think she feels insecure about her transness, so she's like, you don't need to look a specific way, you don't need to feel a specific way to be trans, because I don't fit the traditional description. So just believe what I'm saying. Whenever I say something, it's automatically true. Here's another example.
Just because somebody is trans doesn't mean that they can't be transphobic. Really good example of this is Buck Angel. If you look at Buck Angel's page, it's literally just him attacking trans women, trans kids, and non-binary people.
Oh wow, how interesting. What's gonna happen if you watch his videos? Have you tried that? No? I didn't think so. Who do you think you are? Whenever I say something, it means it's the truth. You don't need to do a fact check. I am always right. That is what you're trying to say, right? Look, The truth is, Buck Angel is not attacking anyone. He's not attacking any group of people. I'm not either. Blair White is not either. We are transsexuals on YouTube who expose radical trans activists like you, spewing harmful ideas, harmful rhetoric, and that's not attacking anyone. I'm just using your own words against you kind of thing. And so is Buck.
To the people out there who keep calling me names, you're so immature, first off. Secondly, when you tell me you're disappointed in me because you don't like what I'm posted, I'm so embarrassed for you. Third, I'm a transsexual man of 31 years transitioned experience. I will say what I want and put out what I want. You are destroying a community that has been happy and been very instrumental in creating a very positive space for many of us for many years until you came along and started saying the most insane stuff that has nothing to do with being trans. Children should not transition, period.
Buck is one of my favorite people on this planet. He really is. Buck is one of the sweetest, most compassionate people I've ever met. His passion is so inspiring, I think you can all agree. And if you actually watched his videos with an open mind, an open heart, it wouldn't be necessary for me to describe Buck to you.
And it's really scary and it's really sad when people are using the privilege that they have within their community in order to perpetuate violence on that community.
Buck Angel has privilege. You are so ridiculous. Buck transitioned over 30 years ago. When did you transition? And how hard was it for you to get the transition? Obviously, it wasn't that hard because you still want to look like a woman, but a doctor, a professional gave you testosterone and cut your breasts off. Make it make sense? Buck had to fight really hard to get where he is today. He was literally a guinea pig. His doctor hasn't transitioned any other females before him. And you're claiming he's privileged? That what? He got everything handed to him? Whatever you mean by the term privileged, people like you, activists like you, are the most privileged ones. And it's so embarrassing that you even have the guts to claim that someone who fought for your rights, who has been in the community for over 30 years, has more privilege than you, and is advocating for violence. What is it that Buck is saying, that I'm saying, Blair is saying, that makes you think like this? This level of disrespect is kind of hard to watch.
If you have a trans person who is advocating against trans rights, that might not be the best person to listen to.
I agree, but it's not Buck Angel who's the transphobic trans person. It's you, even though you're not a real trans person. You're claiming to be a trans person, and you have a problem with the real definition of what it means to be trans. You're being so disgusting and disrespectful towards real transsexuals. Sterilizing healthy gender-confused children with puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones has nothing to do with trans rights. Forcing men who self-ID as women into the women's locker rooms, prisons, sports, all of that has nothing to do with trans rights. But you disagree with me, so who's really the problem?
If you're a white trans guy, please be extra careful with what you're perpetuating. I was out and I was read as a trans man for a long time, for a couple of years. And I found myself replicating those things in order to keep myself safe. I get how that progression can happen.
Oh, you're one of those believing in toxic masculinity. Yikes. It's not a real thing. Toxic people exist, but it has nothing to do with masculinity.
But please stop it before it becomes Buck Angel level.
I think someone feels a little bit intimidated. Are you afraid of Buck, me, and Blair? Are you afraid of what's gonna happen if we actually get heard? You should feel intimidated. You should be scared. Because now you're not the only rainbow person speaking for all LGBT people. Real LGBT people who are normal and live normal lives were too scared to speak up, but not anymore. The vast majority of real LGBT people do not agree with trans activism, woke ideology. Most LGBT people live normal lives, and they don't want in any way people like you to speak on their behalf. I pray to God that in the future we will see a lot more Blair Whites, Buck Angels, and people like me. They're of course out there in the real world, but we need them to speak up, to make videos, tweets, just something. Thank you all for watching this video. If you want to see more content like this, remember to hit subscribe and the notification bell. If you want to support me and my channel, you can become a member, or I have my PayPal link in the description down below. Remember to follow me on social media. I love you and I cannot wait to see you in the comments. Peace out.